Happy Friday, guys. Good morning. The Squealers lose in dramatic fashion. The game somehow didn't go under, which the only thing I'm happy about is that I didn't have 4 or 5 bets yesterday. But yeah, somehow the game didn't go under. There's 27 points scored in the fourth quarter. Whatever, it's life. Things happen, but wow, what a game! Like a winter wonderland of sorts. Let me just read these stats off because as soon as you think you understand football, you get a game like yesterday. So this is just Cleveland stats: 85 rushing yards, 1 for 10 on third down, 8 penalties, had time of possession. They lost it by about 10 minutes. Steelers had it for 35 minutes. Browns had it for just under 25 minutes. And 3 turnovers. So 2 fumbles lost, an interception, 8 penalties, lose the time of possession by 11 minutes, 1 for 10 on third down, and 85 rushing yards. And they were 2-8, and they win. So yeah, just when you think you understand football, right? So Cleveland somehow wins. Jameis Winston the Jameis Winston experience is something. I don't know if he should have a reality show but whatever he's doing, you like can't take your eyes off of it. They take him out of the game on like 4th and 3 and 4th and 4 to bring in the backup quarterback. He threw a horrible interception with like 4.5 minutes left, and then somehow leads them on a game-winning drive as he's jumping through the air like a crazy person. He fumbled away. I can't keep track of what is going on with Jameis Winston. It's amazing. He's got the best quotes. I really think he's like one of one. I don't know how to compare him to anybody. He's just such an interesting guy. And they found a way to win yesterday. If you're watching the game, the broadcast is, I guess, wherever Al and Kirk are sitting, the fans can bang the benches or wherever they're banging. So you're just hearing nonstop banging from Cleveland. You would have thought they won the Super Bowl. They must not have anything to do around there because my goodness gracious, they are a really bad football team, but they had a lot of fun yesterday. I had a lot of fun. The Ravens now control their own destiny as Cleveland. Yeah, they're theoretically done, but they're not really done. They're 3-8, and there's 6 games left. So I guess you talk yourself into anything can happen, and you beat Pittsburgh. They don't have Deshaun Watson, so they feel good about life. Nick Chubb punches it in, and I think my takeaway is it didn't. I don't. It wouldn't be the end of the world if Pittsburgh just lost that game, and it was just like a sloppy game, and they lose it. Whatever, things happen. But to lose at the end of Jameis Winston, I mean, we can relate here as Ravens fans. That's not a great feeling. You're like, what just happened here? And is Jerry Judy Jerry Rice? Like, why is he always open? What is it? What? Anyway, Cleveland wins. Pittsburgh now. I'm gonna go over Pittsburgh's schedule because I think we're gonna catch them. They have a. If you find a tougher schedule, let me know. But this seems like the toughest schedule left out of anybody. They go to Cincinnati the following week, so that's the desperate Bengals team, right? They're not eliminated yet, so they're at Cincinnati. They'll be the underdog in that game. Then they turn around and go at Philadelphia, or excuse me, they get Cleveland. That's the only easy win. So they get Cleveland at home. If we want to give them that win, that's fine. But the other games are, I think they're going to be the underdog in every game. They're at Philadelphia the following week. They'll be a 3.5 point underdog there. Then they come here. We're not losing to them twice. We're going to beat them. They come here, and then they get the Chiefs at home on Christmas. They won't be favored in that game. It might be a 50-50 game, but Christmas, Mahomes, doesn't sound great for the Squealers, especially since the Chiefs are going to have to play now because they're most likely not going to have it wrapped up by them now that the Bills have the tiebreaker. And then they finish the year home against Cincinnati, which 50-50 chance that Cincinnati still has something to play for. As long as they have something to play for, that's a 50-50 game. So that's a really, really tough schedule there for Pittsburgh. They really wanted to win that game yesterday. We knew before the year started that they were going to have to get off to a good start because the end of their season is ridiculous. And here we are. They got off to a good start. They had a chance to be up 9-3 yesterday, and they don't get it done. And I think we're in a good position to catch them. It obviously a lot's going to depend on what happens here on Monday night, but yeah, I'm sorry, the Steelers could have gone 9-2, but now they're sitting at 8-3. We're 7-4, and we get to play them one more time. So as long as I don't know exactly how the tiebreaker is going to play out, but at this point, I feel 100% confident to say that as long as we win out, we would win the division. because I don't think Pittsburgh's winning out. So yeah, a lot of good things that happened yesterday. Besides the fact that the game went over, which is, as I said a minute ago, I'm just glad I didn't have 4 or 5 bets there. So that's that. I think Pittsburgh is really that was a really bad loss. It was a really bad loss. It's one thing to lose to Cleveland in October. It's another thing to lose to them in November. So happy about that. Let's kind of spin things forward to Monday night, because usually Mondays I spend most of the time talking about what happened on Sunday. But since the Ravens are going to play on Monday night and it's Friday, there's I think there's one big key to this particular game that I wanted to harp on when the Ravens have the ball. When the Chargers have the ball, I think there's a lot going on. But when the Ravens have the ball on Monday night, there's a huge injury for the Chargers that, to me, is going to make this a Lamar Jackson show. So Denzel Perryman is their Mike linebacker. He's not arguably, I think he is their best linebacker for sure. He's the one that they rely on the most. He's the captain of the defense. They got Bosa, they got Mack, they got Derwin James, but it's the Perryman guy in the middle that makes everything click for them. And part of the reason why the Chargers are so good on defense, he's not going to play. It hasn't been official, but may as well be. It's his hamstring, came out of the game, or his groin, one of the two. Came out of the game last week against the Bengals. He's not going to play. That's going to be a huge problem for the Chargers. They're going to have a hard time stopping the run. Teams that usually run the ball right at you don't love it when you run right at them. And, the bully doesn't like to get bullied. The best way to beat the Chargers, the best way to beat a team that just wants to pound the ball against you is to pound the ball at them first. Keep them off the field. Greg Roman's offense, as soon as he doesn't win the time of possession, he starts to panic. Things don't click because the offense is all based on running the football. So when the Ravens have the ball, they do not have the linebacker to be able to spy Lamar and to be able to handle it. They're going to have a lot of people looking at Lamar, and it's going to make it easier for Derrick Henry to get going. And once he gets those 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 yard runs, then it's impossible. Then you have more attention on Derrick Henry, and Lamar's going to fly. It's Monday night. Lamar, he's going to shine. I thought he was pretty good. I don't think he was great last week against Pittsburgh, but the narrative after the game was stupid, and a lot of people just don't watch the games. It's easier to look at the box score. That's why I read off the Browns box score from yesterday. These people that think that they're good at sports betting or that they're professionals or sharps and all these silly things that make themselves feel better, they come up with things that make no sense. Right? They're like, well, look at this number and you look at this statistic and blah, 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 blah. It's like, all right, did you watch the game? Because if you didn't watch the game, you're not allowed to have an opinion. You're just not. That's the way it works. If you're not watching the game, anybody can look at the box score and try to guess what happened. You don't have to watch the whole game. Watch the highlights. Watch certain plays. Watch enough of it that you can at least explain why you're betting the way you're betting. Because if not, you're just going to look at the box score and be like, I got screwed over. I had the Steelers yesterday and I got screwed over. Look, I was right about this. I was right about that. You weren't right about anything. They had no chance to cover the whole game. They were losing from the get-go. So just because you missed that 2-point conversion that would have made it 21-18, and then you can claim you were going to cut, like, that's not how it works. Cleveland was the right play yesterday, and there's no argument against it. Now, the under and the over, if you want to complain and cry about it and say, I had the under, and they scored 27 points in the fourth quarter. It's like, okay, well, then you should have bet the under for the first half. Like, that's what I would say to myself. Like, to make excuses after the fact or pretend like just looking at the box score justifies your opinion is ridiculous. And anyway, I got off on a little tangent there. I'm just sick of I'm just sick of people pretending that there's an easy way to do something that is, there's not an easy way. There will never be an easy way. I wanted to just tell you guys one quick thing here before I move on to when the Ravens are on defense, because as I said, offensively, without Perryman in the middle, I think the Chargers are going to really struggle to stop the run. Their linebackers aren't going to be dynamic enough. The way the Chargers are really effective defensively is they force teams into passing situations. Their pass defense is great. They do a great job of getting to the quarterback without blitzing. They got Bosa and Mack, but there's another guy leading them in sacks, Tulu, whatever his name is. And then they got Derwin James in the back end. Like the secondary, they're really solid, but the way you get them is pounding the rock right at them. They don't want that. I'm telling you, that's the best way to beat them. But anyway, real quick about this, about line movement real quick and sharp betting and all this nonsense. what happens here, just so you guys understand with the lines, is that they're going to move once the money comes in. So what a lot of people that call themselves professionals do is when that line first comes out, okay, keep this in mind, Sunday night or Monday morning, as soon as that line comes out, if they want the number to go, if they want the number to switch, they'll bet the other side. So it doesn't make them a professional or a sharp. It means that they like to bet a lot of money and they already have an opinion on the game. So let me walk you through what happened this week. Lions Colts started off at +8. Okay. If you love the Lions and you see Lions -8 to start off, it's Sunday night, it's Monday morning, you just finished watching the games, and you like the Lions. You think they're going to win by 10, 14, 20 points. You like the Lions, right? But you don't want to pay -8. You want it at -7. The best way to do that, the only way to do that, is to bet on the Colts, right? Make sure I'm saying this right. So bet the opposite side that you want, a lot of money, enough to move the line right away before the numbers start to come in. So the Lions are -8, and you want the Lions -7. How do I get Lions -7 if it's already Lions -8? So what a lot of people do that want to bet professionally, doesn't mean that they're right, doesn't mean that they're making money, but that they want to bet big, big, big money on the games. They will bet, let's just say they want to bet $5 million total on the Lions between themselves, their group, whatever they want to do. They want to bet 5 million. That's their number. They would put up $1 to $2 million on the Colts right away to move the line. Because as soon as that happens, the lines makers are just adjusting, their algorithm adjusts in real time to the amount of money that's coming in, not the amount of tickets, not who's betting them. Nobody cares. I promise on my life, these sports books do not care. The only people that get limited, talking about getting limited, is when you're betting player props or you're betting obscure sports and you win, even if you're accidentally winning, that draws attention from online sports books. But when you're betting Lions, Colts, Packers, Bears, Bills, right, all that stuff, nobody cares who's betting. Then nobody cares. And when I say nobody, the lines makers do not care. All they know is we got way more money coming in on the Colts. We started it off at Lions -8, and we got 85% of the money's on the Colts. Now, granted, we just opened up the line, but holy shit, maybe we overestimated it. Or, I'm sorry, they're not even thinking. It's just an automated algorithm. It's like, all right, this much money, it triggers it. Boom, the line goes down to 7.5. Line goes down to 7. These people then bet more money, so much more money that the line will go back up to 7.5 or 8, sometimes even up to 8.5. So when you hear people say, I'm beating the number, I get the best lines, I get the best odds. The only way to do that is to manipulate it financially or just try to guess right. That's why I come on here and I'll sometimes say, hey, I think the line's going to move, just guessing based on my experience. But I would never know, and nobody would know unless I actually tried to move it myself. And the average bettor doesn't move lines. It's impossible. So what you have is groups of people or wealthy folks, but they're not sharps. That's the point I want to drive in. It's not that they know who's going to win the game. It's not that they have inside information. They just decided they want to bet it at a certain number, so they want to manipulate the line. Okay, anyway, back to the Ravens defense here, and then we'll finish this out. Justin Herbert, I really like Justin Herbert. I have a hard time saying negative things about Justin Herbert. And I really like Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. And I actually like Greg Roman. So this is awkward for me because I would build my team. I know most Ravens fans don't like Greg Roman and probably think, I'm stuck in 1997. But that's how I grew up on the Ray Lewis Ravens defenses. Like, we'll just play defense. I know that doesn't seem to be the case this year. But nonetheless, I would build my team that way. I would build it from the inside out. So I respect a lot what the Chargers have done. They're completely, talk about like a facelift of a team, right? They lose every close game. Everything that can go wrong goes wrong. The coaches having anxiety attacks in real time. Like you can see it in his face. And then you get Harbaugh, who, God, this is a team now you don't want to play. It's the same thing everywhere he goes. He's got the type of team that you just don't want to play. But you know what? They're getting the Ravens coming off being pissed off. If the Ravens beat Pittsburgh, I think the Chargers might clip us. You're getting a bunch of angry birds coming to LA. It'll be a 70% Ravens crowd. I don't know how many Charger fans even exist. So I'm not worried about that. But I'm really curious if Roman will switch it up, because if you come out and just try to run the ball against us after, frankly, we did good against the run last week, and then we're in a bad mood and we're facing the old offensive coordinator, I think you feed right into the Ravens. I think if I'm praying that's what their game plan is, and Justin Herbert's back there on 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 8 like he was last year on that was it Sunday Night Football where we just beat the crap out of them. Kyle Hamilton was amazing that whole night. That's how I see this playing out if the Chargers come out and try to do 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Because if it's 3rd and 6, this team does not have enough weapons. This is the ideal matchup for the Ravens. Every team's got players that they can throw the ball to, but if you ask me to rank the worst receiving group, worst receivers / tight ends, especially of the good teams, I mean, it's the Chargers without a doubt. The rookie McConkey is banged up. Whether or not he plays is a big deal. He's clearly their best receiver, but they're not loaded over there by any stretch. It's the Greg Roman offense. You know how it is. So it will be it's going to come down to first down and second down for me. If the Chargers are going to be, if I was the Chargers, I would spread them out and spread the Ravens out, make the linebackers cover, and play the way the Bengals played. But that's not how they typically like to play. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm really excited for Monday night, especially now that that the Squealers lost, because now we can get that home playoff game. And yeah, so what else we got? Tons of college basketball. If you're watching college basketball today, enjoy it. I could talk about my own basketball experience. I don't know if anybody cares. So yeah, I coach. I'm doing so much basketball right now that I'm excited to get into higher level basketball. But I'm coaching an elementary school girls team, an elementary school boys team, and then I'm the assistant coach for a varsity high school boys team. So yesterday I actually had 3 games, and the whole time I'm like watching, and you talk to these kids and you're coaching, and you just can't get out of your head like the comparisons between college and NBA, and I just love basketball. There's so much basketball in my brain. So my plan is I'm getting married at the end of this year. Let's keep track of that for God's sakes. And then I'm thinking basically as football season's winding down, I can devote a lot more energy to college basketball, because if I'm going to give out bets here, I really want to be confident. It doesn't mean I'm going to win, but I don't want to do what I did with baseball last year, which is just fill up content for the sake of content. That's what I did. It was kind of a panic situation because everything changed very fast. But I'm not going to do that with college basketball, and I'm certainly not doing that with the Orioles next year. If I'm going to bet on a game, if I'm going to give out a game, it's because I'm actually betting on it, and I want to provide, the rationale. So if you guys are betting on it, or at least if you're considering it, you can know where I'm coming from. And I certainly am going to have a lot of opinions on college basketball, but just to be transparent with everybody, I won't have any bets, for the next month or so. Plus, I think it's healthier, to see some things play out. There's a lot of work to do with college basketball. It's the hardest sport to research because there's so much turnover that you can't really halfway do it. So if you're betting college basketball, my best advice, pick 1 or 2 teams. If you want to go 3 or 4, but man, it's hard to keep track of everything. I would focus on a handful of teams, unless you just love it and you know exactly what's going on, but it's hard. There's a lot of turnover, a lot to keep up with. So, all right, let me stop blabbing here, and get out. I hope you guys have a great afternoon. I shall be here. Jack and I are going to do a podcast, either later tonight or tomorrow morning. So I'll put that out in the morning. And yeah, have a great day. If you need me, guys, I'm always here. I appreciate the people that write out randomly. Even if you don't need anything, you just want to say, at this point, I've made this very clear. I love doing this. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going with this whole, with the business and everything. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of different companies I'm talking to. But I really enjoy trying to help. So if you just want to talk about something, or if you're about to make a big bet and you're like, man, I just want to blab for 10 minutes and want me to listen, tell me ahead of time, hey, I don't need your opinion. You mind listening? So that's why I'm here. I appreciate you guys. Appreciate the support, and I hope you guys have a great day. I shall see you in the morning.